This is the Get Better Everyday podcast with Matt Gouget. Actionable advice from real life superheroes who, just like you, are in relentless pursuit of the best version of themselves. Whether you're just getting started or have been at it for years, my hope is that this podcast injects you with some positive energy to continue doing what brings you joy. Join me as I interview the best of the best in business, sports, and life. Let's grow together. All right. We got Anthony Casa from U Mortgage on the pod today. I'm excited to get started and talk to you about getting better every day. Before we get started, just give everybody 30 seconds of who you are, what you're doing. Not everybody listening to this is gonna, be mortgage industry and know who you are. So tell us what you're up to.
So high level, I would say I come from a big family, number one. Number two, came from nothing, dropped out of school when I was 13 years old, never got a GED or a college education or any of that stuff, just to kind of set the backdrop of where I'm at today. And, essentially over the course of my life, I've had a couple different journeys here. One as a loan officer, so I was a salesperson. One as a small entrepreneur, owner of a very small business, 30 or less employees, that became kind of a big deal. Ran a nonprofit for several years, which was, a very big nonprofit, 60,000, people that would engage with as members, which was a transformational experience that led me to who I am today. And now I'm building a mortgage company with Matt and our other partners here. And we're just trying to do it different than everybody else has done it by not focusing on profits. We got to make money, but focusing on building a culture of people that truly care about each other, which I know as like your average person, like, that's all bullshit. But I'm one of those unique people that this is my entire life. So this is all I care about is this company and these people. And we live by everything we say we do externally. We live by it internally.
Yeah, I love that, dude. And I love hearing you, and the passion you have towards the business. So many people I meet, it's about getting better every day. And it's about growth. It's not about money. It's not about fame. It's not about any of that stuff. It's just a matter of like, I've set out to accomplish something. I got this big mountain I want to climb. And every time I get closer and closer to the peak, it's fulfilling, right? It's fulfilling to do that. It's fulfilling to, be hand in hand with other folks that are climbing that mountain with you. One thing that I want to ask you, because this is something that fascinates me, right? A decade ago, I was broke. I was struggling. I was nobody, right? I was mentally, physically, spiritually, financially broke in every area of my life. And then 10 years later, great life, great wife, great family, all that stuff. So give us maybe a little bit of what Anthony Casa, where you were, what you were up to a decade ago, 15 years ago, mainly because I want people who are in any position to realize, like, listen, man, like a lot of us went step by step, created whatever life we've created today. It wasn't overnight, but over time, literally anybody can do it. So, favorite quote I have, and I'm going to quote this so many times in this podcast, like people overestimate what they can do in a year. They underestimate what they can do in a decade. So tell me where Anthony Casa was a decade ago.
Yeah. 10 years ago, just thinking back, I was 27 years old. So at that time I already had 4 kids. So I had 4 kids by the time I was, 27 years old. I was married and I was leading my company, Garden State Home Loans, which was the first company I ever started. And the only thing I saw was that world. I didn't go on social media. I didn't know Matt Gouget. I didn't know Barry Beebe. I didn't know anybody in the mortgage industry. It was just my little cocoon in South Jersey, those 30 people that worked with me, and then my family, it was like they were the only people that existed. So my ecosystem was so tight, and I was obsessed with my ecosystem. I was like as obsessed as I am and passionate as I am today. I was obsessed with that. But what happened 5 years ago, very close 5 years, like 4 years ago, is I got to see the world, and like basically Matt Ishbia, owner of UWM, he has a huge company. He invited us to advisory councils and different things, and I got to experience different brokers and different entrepreneurs across the country. And in those conversations, I start to realize, man, like we're so far ahead of everybody. Like, man, like these guys do the same thing as us, but like we're crushing it compared to what they're doing. And I developed these relationships. And once I realized there was a world outside of my little cocoon in South Jersey, I was like, I don't want to be the big fish in the small pond. I want to go out there and I can do something bigger. And that's when, I got into AIM and I started the nonprofit was like, this was a national organization, 60,000 people. And it changed my life. Like I couldn't even speak in front of 10 people publicly. Like literally, like I was not like, I could not do public speaking. And I remember the first event we had, I was like, oh my God, like there's gonna be 100 people there. There were 600 people there. And I had to speak for 45 minutes. And I remember going on stage, I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do? But it happened. It forced me out of my comfort zone. And every experience forced me out of my comfort zone even more. Like I'm a different person from 10 years ago to 5 years ago. I grew this much. Okay. Zero growth in 5 years in my little cocoon. I love my cocoon, but zero growth. Each year since then, I've had exponential growth. Like the person that I was 6 months ago or 12 months ago, that guy's dead. Because my experiences have changed. Every day I'm dealing with an experience I've never dealt with before. And it's great.
Yeah. And I think that's important for people to hear is, part of that growth is getting uncomfortable, right? Growth doesn't come without getting uncomfortable. What advice would you give to folks? Like you said, you were crushing it and, by everybody looking from the outside in, like you had found success, right? And so you had a really successful mortgage brokerage. Like there was no need to go out and do bigger, do better. You chose to. And so for anybody who maybe is on the fence, right, and thinking about like, man, what if I went out and started this new thing that I'm passionate about? What if I went and took the chance and, no matter what it is in life, right? Whether it's, mortgage or a, ice cream stand or whatever folks are dreaming about, what advice would you give somebody who's maybe on the fence and thinking like, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. What advice would you give them?
I would start with this, and I remember the moment that I felt this for the first time ever. I met this group of like 20 other entrepreneurs that were supposed to be the top people at what we did in the country, and I remember meeting them, and I went into this thinking like, oh man, like I hopefully I can be on the same level as these guys, blah 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 blah, and then I had the realization like immediately like I'm so far ahead, like it's not even like these guys. I don't know if I'd hire them to work for me, to be honest with you. Like I was so far ahead of them. And once I had the realization that these were the top 20 people at what I do in the country, which means they're the top 20 in the world, I was like, oh shit. I my North Star is too small. My North Star was like, hey, you want to make a couple $1,000,000 a year, like that was the North Star. Wait a second, like no. I want to be a billionaire. Like I'm thinking way bigger, and I want to do bigger things. But again, that was me at 33 as a guy that was monetarily driven. The experiences I've had since then has transformed my values, and I'm no longer monetary driven. I don't care about the money anymore, and that's what's so great about getting out of your comfort zone. Is most people chase objects and money, and then when they find that those things, they realize like this isn't the game. The game is, like you said, happy life, happy wife, happy family. The people you surround yourself are great people that are helping you grow. And that to me is like the realization I had.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's one of my new sayings is I'm no longer chasing income, I'm chasing impact. And
Yes.
being able to impact folks, in my personal life, in my business acquaintances and colleagues and whatnot is really, really gratifying and satisfying. I'd love to transition into actionable steps because you go from having a successful business to say, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do bigger. And you take a couple steps forward and you realize like, okay, like I'm human, just like these folks next to me. And actually I'm as good, if not better. I've got that where it's no amount of cockiness, but I think that like, as I've grown in business, I've realized like, if that guy can do it, I can do it.
Yes.
I've got the work ethic, I've got the discipline, I've got the knowledge. For a lot of people too, it's not like you're so far away from your goals and dreams. It's literally like the 5 inches between your temples, right? Like it's mindset. If you've got the right mindset and you realize like, oh, maybe I can do this. There's people out there that are building rocket ships to friggin' Mars. They're humans like Anthony Casa and Matt Gouget. They're not like a supercomputer that was just like, transported to Earth to change things. Like this guy's a human being, right? Elon Musk puts his, shoes on 1 foot at a time like me and you do. And so I'd love to take like some actionable advice where I could tell people like, hey, listen, here's something that you could do. For me personally, like self-development is huge. And that's
Yeah.
something that no matter what field you're in, like getting better every day is going to cause you to level up in life no matter what field you're in. What are some things that are part of your routine or part of what you do to get better every day?
Okay, so I'm going to give you three, but first, before I give you the three, I'm going to give you the barrier that you need to break down in order to actually achieve the three. The number one thing you need to do is people obsess over the wrong things. Like people are like, I want to, when somebody's like, I want to get in better shape or I want to make more money or whatever, like their initial thoughts are, I'm gonna I'm gonna go to the gym for an hour every day. You don't, if you went from zero to an hour a day, that's crazy. That's like hard. If you can just go for, if you go for a, if you just start with a walk every day, you know, you're making progress, getting better every day. Incremental, just overcome this idea that you have to like do it all at once. Same thing with work. It's like, you don't have to be a workaholic to be successful. You just have to be, and these are the three things. Number one, presence. I'm present everywhere I go. I will put my time with somebody against anybody else's time with them. Meaning, I'm not necessarily one of those people that I'm spending, you know, 4 hours a day with my kids, but I'll put my 4 hours against any other dad's 4 hours. I'm more present. I'm doing the TikToks. We're making fun of each other. They're busting my stones about, you know, not being at a certain event. They're busting my stones. Why don't you have a girlfriend? Like they bust my stones. Like our kids and I are close. Same thing when I'm at work. I'm not trying to get out of this meeting. Like I'm not sitting there saying, oh, I can't wait for this meeting to be over. I'm not just trying to get through it. I'm present. I'm focused on the person. I'm not just focused on what I want out of the meeting. I'm focused on them. This is a relationship. So presence is everything. This is the hardest thing for people to do is they're here, but they're not. They're on their phone. They're thinking about a TikTok. They're thinking about dinner tonight. No. If you're in a meeting, if you're at the gym, be present, be fully there in the moment. Number one thing. Number two is we live in a shiny object world, okay? And this is one of the things I see a lot of times is people get distracted so easily. So like, be focused on your goals and just be disciplined. Say no to 99% of the shit that comes your way. If you want to win, and one of the things I really admire, I remember I sent an email to Robert Refkin, who's the CEO of Compass. Okay, so Robert and I had the text message exchange. We've been introduced to one of his realtors, and I sent an email one day about, hey, I really want to, you know, I was at AIM at the time, and I was like, I think we could do something special here, where I got all these brokers across the country. You don't have an in-house relationship. We partner, and I can help bring the best loan officers, best brokers in your communities, and partner them with your agents. He's like, Anthony, I'm sorry. You know, I like you as a guy, but like, no, I'm already focused on something else. And I respected it because he's focused on his goals and he knows to say no. And just the last thing I would say is most tactical thing is consistency is everything. Whatever your schedule, like the gap between you getting better every day and not is the ability to do things consistently. Wake up at the same time, take your shower at the same time. Like your habits are everything. So like, I don't want to keep that too high level. I know we want actionable things here, but I just want like people to understand like that those three things are the keys. It's the disciplines and it's the habits that you do every day. Like I know how you are, Matt. Like you're doing your Facebook Live every Monday at the same time. Like you're doing, like the reason why you're getting better is you have discipline.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that. I actually was here taking notes because one of the things that I've learned, you know, as I've grown over the last decade is like the people I surround myself, right? I'm learning something every day, literally learning as we're on this call, taking notes on it. I love what you said about emotional intelligence and presence. My wife, Katrina, is great with that. That's something that actually, I don't know if I've told you yet, but when you're out here in Sacramento, my wife was like, there's something about Anthony and his presence. Like she recognizes that. She's such higher level than I am at that stuff, but like that stuff matters in business, right? Like we're in a relationship business. People that are, you know, building hotels, people that are starting businesses, no matter what business you're in, there's a personal element to it, and relationships are important. I know at U Mortgage and in our mortgage business, like we're all about the relationship. And so like that can't be stressed enough, right? Is like, no matter what business you're in, you like relationships matter, emotional
Relationships
intelligence
are everything.
matters. And the saying no to good to say yes to great, that's something I'm currently working on. So I wrote that down, right, to take that as actual advice from you, because it's hard, right? You'll come across all this stuff. It's like, that's a pretty good idea. That's a pretty good idea. As you get busier and busier, it becomes necessary, right? Like you have to like start saying no to some stuff. We're like, you know what? That worked for me last year. And that was something that was valuable enough for me to, you know, chunk out 2 hours of my week a year ago. But now as business has grown or as focus has shifted, like I've got to say no to that stuff, even though it's good, because I have to have time for the great.
Yes.
And then lastly, consistency. I had somebody tell me recently how lucky I was because I had found success on YouTube, and I had, a bunch of people that like me and trust me and reach out to me on YouTube. And luck is such a funny word, right? Because how lucky was I in 2013, 14, 15, 16, and 17 when I dedicated myself to make a video per week? I edited every single one. I had to research the topic. I was new, so I didn't know a lot. I had to spend time educating myself. I knew I was getting better by doing it, but I dedicated all that time for 9 views, 14 views, 22 views, and literally for years. Nobody subscribed, nobody watched. I knew internally I was getting better every day. And then voila, overnight success, where I've got 100,000 views a month and a couple hundred people a month reaching out saying, thank you so much. I've learned so much about the mortgage process through watching your videos for 6 months. Can you do a loan for me in Tennessee? Can you do a loan for me in Florida? And now I get to say yes, right? But it's only because of years of work.
Years. And I watched
consistent work, right? So that is something that like I really like those 3 takeaways, and that I really appreciate that. So in your current day-to-day, obviously, you mortgages is a big focus, and you're in the midst of growing the largest mortgage broker shop in the country. What specifically are your get better everyday focuses on what you're trying to improve upon?
For me, my entire life is like the people. So like what I try to get better at is the idea of becoming a better leader. Okay. Like to me, it's like there's 2 versions of the leader. There's like, for a lot of people, they see me as like the way I am outside of my company. And that guy, they look at and they say, he's a great leader. The way he carries himself, the way he speaks, the way his ideas, great leader. But you're seeing a snapshot of me. Okay. That's like, to me, I don't think that's leadership. I think that's something else. In my company, I look at my people and say, how much can I get them to be better? Like I'll look at a certain person and I'll literally be like, do you realize, like in my head, I'm like, you are a superstar. You could be the CEO of this company, but you don't even think you're good enough for your own job. Your confidence in yourself, what you think you can get to, is not there. So what I focus on is how can I push them out of their comfort zones? How can I put them in situations that they would never put themselves in? Like I had one of our team members do a presentation for a large group of people. She because the CEO said it, she had to do it. I would imagine she had hives. She was probably nervous as shit. She did it. She crushed it. I had her come in my office the next day, give feedback and everything. I told her she did a great job. And I was like, now that you did that, do you think you could do it again? She's like, I can't wait to do it again. I can't wait to be under that pressure again. And like, to me, it's like, you have to force people into these situations because people don't do it themselves. Maybe 1 or 2% do. So like, that's what I focus on. It's like, and when I have days when I feel like I haven't done that, or I haven't done a good enough job getting people there, that's where I'm like, I got to get better. In my next meeting, I'm going to give the feedback a little bit differently. I'm going to make sure that when I communicate, I don't rush. Like I posted the other day and I gave somebody recognition. And then somebody else came in like, hey, just so you know, you only gave recognition to that person, but 2 other people worked on that project. I was like, oh no, I got to get better. I got to make sure I know that before I do that. So like, I just focus on such little things, interactions. I think about like, I measure all my people and I say like, this person, like, does she need to be here? Forget the comp. Am I giving this person enough value? Has the organization put them in situations where every day they're getting better, that they're like, nobody can pay me to leave? And that's actually like a currency that people don't realize is once you've made a connection with somebody that's making you better, it's a currency that doesn't translate to dollars. Like you stop focusing on those things, I personally, I similar to what you said at the beginning about like took you 7 years to build your channel. And I thought you were one of those crazy guys when I first met you. I was like, YouTube, what the heck's he doing? and that's how stupid I was at the time. But like, I look at this company and people say, man, I can't believe you guys have grown this much in this period of time. I was like, you've only been in business for 18 months. You have this many people. I'm like, yeah, it's like, I got here over the course of my life. What the reason why we're growing so fast isn't because we're sprinting like right now. It's because when I worked in the restaurant, I learned how to manage people and be a present human being. Like it's my life experiences that are driving this today. And I try to translate those life experiences to the people in my ecosystem.
Yeah, that's something too, that it's a compounding effect. Getting better every day, over time, you'll look back and, like you said, you can't recognize the Anthony Casa from 5 years ago. Most people that I run into that knew me from a past life, managing a card room or wherever I was a decade ago, would not believe that, the Matt Gouget today is the same person. Like, I've been reincarnated, right? And it's been gradual steps day in and day out, like listening to Les Brown and Jim Rohn. And I remember, like, I'm connecting right now for this podcast with people that, when I was networking in 2014, I was brand new. And I went to like 3 networking meetings a week. So it was 150 networking meetings a year.
Whoa.
Getting out, shaking hands, kissing babies. I mean, I burned the boats because I left a stable state job with benefits. Me and Kat had just had our second kid, and mortgage is a commission only business. For anybody who doesn't know, like, if you don't go out there and succeed, you sink. And so there was no, turning back. The boats were burned. I had to succeed. I appreciate your time, man. I want to wrap it up. I think a question that came to mind as you were speaking last was like you, myself, and a lot of other hard charging entrepreneurs are moving really, really fast. And you mentioned something that kind of sparked in my head where you're like, I want to slow down. I want to slow down when I give feedback, when I'm coaching, when I'm leading people. How do you do that in a world that, one, the world moves fast, 2, like, by nature, when you're running a company and you're leading, hundreds of people, like, you've got a lot of things on your plate. How do you do that? I mean, I'd love to know personally, how you do that, where you're like, slowing down in the moment to be able to, like, give your full attention to everything that comes in front of you.
Yeah, it's actually something that you and we need to get better at this too. Like, because like I feel like because we know each other for so long and we have such a good relationship, if we're gonna have a meeting, we'll spend 10 minutes talking about nonsense, and then we only got 20 minutes left, and then the 20 minutes runs out. So I think for me, it's like the way I approach almost all of my relationships is like, I have to lead the conversation. And it's not because it's a power thing. It's more like, I know we only have 30 minutes and I know I have a hard stop and that person might have a hard stop. So it's like, I immediately set the table of like, this is what I want to accomplish in this meeting. Okay. And I focus on starting fast. I focus on not dwelling on things quick for too long. Like, the minute we're going down a rabbit hole, the minute the conversation doesn't like we're not being productive toward the topic, I bring it back in. So I'm really big on time management. Like, it's something that I've gotten so much better at. I'm still trying to get better at. But I think the most important thing for me that I've focused on when I'm slowing down is like, I do a total reset in my mind. Like, when I'm doing a weekly sales meeting or something like this, I got to be high energy. I got to be like, this is what I got to be. But when I'm going to sit there and I'm meeting with somebody one-on-one, or I'm in a different with my kids, I got to be completely focused on them. So I make sure I turn my phone off. I make it a habit to turn all my notifications off, and I literally do a breathing exercise, and I just like completely get into like a point of like clarity, and then I focus on them. And like, it's like, it sounds like people's like, well, what if you have a meeting come up there? I'm like, there's always time to be stressed out about shit. There's always time. But to me, it's like, this is where I need to be right now. And I'll tell you what, it's very hard. It's been like a life. Like, I would say it's one of the things that I constantly am fighting myself for. Like, it's a constant journey, and it should be, because it's really hard to be present. It's really hard to be fully focused on one person in a very noisy and busy world.
Awesome, man. Okay. Closing question. We talked about where you were 10 years ago. And for me, having a front row seat to any of the folks I know personally who are doing big things and getting better every day. I'd love to hear, the vision in a minute, right, of where you are personally going to be 10 years from now.
Similar to what you said about impact, like a dollar amount, a company size, all those things, those are outcomes. That's not where I want to, I don't want to be at an outcome. Where I want to be as a person in my life is I want to be impacting the largest amount of people in the most effective way. Every half an hour, today I'm impacting X amount of people. How can I 1000X that? Like, that's important to me. 2, I want to be I'm happy. Like, I'm really happy today. Like, I wake up every day. I love what I'm doing. Maybe once in a while, I'm like, I got a meeting on my schedule. I don't want to go. But like 99% of the time, I'm very happy with what I'm doing in life. I would say the only difference is I want to experience the world more. I've traveled for work, but I really don't travel for pleasure. And number three, I would say like, I really want to be in a place where like I am able to, I want to feel like I've developed 100 or 1,000 of me. Like I want to take my life experiences and help the people that haven't had a transformational experience in their life. And I've had a couple, I've had good and bad ones, but I want to transfer that to them and I want people betting on themselves. I want everybody in my life to be like, man, 5 years ago, that guy, he's dead. That woman's dead. Like, I'm a new motherfucker. I'm the best version of myself. And thank you for making it happen. Thank you for being part of it.
Awesome, man. All right. Let's get better every day, man. Thanks for your time, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.